Brett Strong, Internet Skeptic. Series title, 60 Seconds or Less, where I utterly destroy the world's top Christian apologists in 60 seconds or less. Up next will be Way of the Master. The cronies, Wade Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel. They're the guys aware of the Master, and they like to promote this thing called the Ten Commandments. The Old Testament, Moses, the Christian God gave Moses on stone, the Ten Commandments. Well, the Way of the Master, Wade Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, they like to promote the Ten Commandments. And you see them on YouTube or the show, whatever, where they go up to people on the street, gullible people that don't know what they're talking about. Basically, they're just walking along. They stick a mic in your face. Hey, got a moment? Have you ever told a lie before? And people are like, well, like any lie, even a white lie, like the dog ate your homework when you were a little kid. Did you tell a lie? And they're like, oh yeah. And they're like, well, what do you call that? A liar. So you're saying you're a liar. Okay, next one up. Have you ever stolen anything? And people are like, well, like even a cookie from the cookie jar when you were 5 years old. And you're like, well, yeah. And like, well, what do you call that? Thief. So you're a liar and a thief. And here's another one. Have you ever lusted after somebody? If it's a guy that's like, have you ever lusted after a hot chick? Chick that you saw on the beach, super fine body, like a stripper body, thongs on. And you're like, have you ever lusted after a woman like that? And of course, if you're a guy, heterosexual, you're like, yeah. And they're like, well, what does that make you? And you're like, well, a guy, I guess. And like, no, adulterer. Because, Jesus said if you lust at a woman, you're in your heart, da-da-da-da. So now you're a liar, thief, and adulterer. And then they go on and it's like, well, have you ever been mad at someone, like really pissed off at someone? And of course everyone's like, yeah, like, and they're like, well, what do you call that? And you're like, well, I'm just being pissed off at somebody. And they're like, no, that's a murder, because Jesus said if you're mad at somebody, you're hurt, yada, yada, yada. So they look at the person, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, they look at the person and they're like, you're a liar, thief, adulterer, murderer. And then they basically try to get them to ultimately, commit to Jesus or have faith in Jesus, whatever, to have the faith of them. They try to get the people to have the faith of them. To get them to have Ray Comfort's Jesus faith, Kirk Cameron's Jesus faith, Todd Friel Jesus faith, because they're afraid of ultimately of hell. These guys are terrified of hell. And we all know hell is fiction. Come on. I mean, hell is fiction. Whether it's a Christian hell, the Muslim hell, the Buddhist, Hindu, whatever type hell, other religions hell is fake. Come on. You're dead, you're dead. Heaven's a good thought, so I won't take that away. But hell, burning in hell, come on, that's ridiculous. But, anyways, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, they're terrified of this place called hell. I mean, they're so scared, they probably poop their pants. Literally, they probably poop their pants at night dreaming about hell. I mean, wake up like, oh, man, I'm going to wipe myself. Honey, I'm sorry, honey, I pooped on myself. I urinated on myself. Hell is a scary thought. So they're brainwashed to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if old man Ray Comfort, if Kirk Cameron or Todd Friel, they pooped their pants off. They're driving to work, pooping their pants, just thinking about, wow, I hope I'm on the right. I got the right God, because man, if not, I'm going to hell. So they probably pooped on themselves. But anyways, they promote the Ten Commandments. But the funny thing about it is this: the Bible is a book of fairy tales. But let's just look into it for the sake of argument. The Old Testament God gave ancient Israel in the desert laws. And part of those laws was the Ten Commandments. Gave them like 600-something laws, including the Ten Commandments. Now those were the laws the Old Testament God gave Israel, ancient Israel, in the desert, like 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, whatever. But anyway, the Old Testament God gave ancient Israel 3, 4, 5,000 years ago these laws to govern the people. So you got millions of people in the desert, nowhere to go. Chaos is going to break out, so you got to have laws. So the Old Testament God gave them the laws. Part of those 600-some laws is the Ten Commandments. That was to govern their daily life. Now, somehow, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, Way of the Master, they somehow think that they could take another country's law and apply it to us in America. And that's kind of strange to me. I mean, can you imagine if Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel were standing before a judge, just say they got caught speeding, and they're standing before a judge, and the judge said, well, I'm going to judge you by the laws of Africa. And the laws of Africa says that if you break the speed limit, you should be stoned to death. So, way of the master, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, standing here in New York City, I will judge you by the laws of Africa, and you should be stoned to death. And what would they say? What would anybody common sense with? I'm in America. You can't judge me by another country's laws. That's insane. That's immoral. That's illogical. That's unreasonable. That's ridiculous. But that's what they try to do to people, and that's what they do to people. They get unsuspecting people that just minding their own business, going shopping, eating in a restaurant, trying to be in love, trying to have their kids and play with their kids, and they stick a microphone in their face and blow out the 10 Commandments and break them down and have them crying in tears. And I say, you broke the law, you broke 10 Commandments. How could you be in America breaking? Here, let me put it in easy context. How could you be here in America and break the laws of Africa? Well, that's exactly what they're doing. And it's even worse because those laws, those 10 Commandments given ancient Israel, it doesn't even apply to modern Israel. So they're talking about laws given 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. How can you be in America today breaking laws that was given to another country thousands of years ago? That's how irrational, ridiculous, nonsensical, unreasonable way of the master crew they are. And throw in Tony Miano too. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy the thought. But they're using this same method. In America, using another country's laws to try to make someone in America guilty. Like, I'm in America, but they're going to try to use another country's law to try to make me feel guilty. Say, here, you're in America, but you broke another country's laws, even though you're still in America and you never went to that country. That's crazy, right? I mean, once again, imagine Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, and throw in Tony Miano standing in court in Miami for a parking violation, and the judge's like, you know what? I'm going to judge you guys by the laws of China, which means you must be killed by the firing squad. I'm in Miami. I'm not in China. You can't judge me by the laws of China. And the judge's like, stamp, you're guilty. Take him away, firing squad, for the parking ticket. Broke the law of China, even though they're in America, living in America. That's totally ridiculous. But that's what they're doing. Taking a mic, sticking in somebody's face, like, hey, you broke the laws of ancient Israel. Like, dude, I've never been to Israel, let alone ancient Israel. Dude, you're trying to judge me by laws given to another country 3,000 or 4,000 years ago during the Bronze Age. So I'm in America breaking the Bronze Age laws for another country, living in a desert people, ancient Israel, their laws, Bronze Age, and I'm in America, modern times right now, and I broke their law. And now I'm going to be condemned. That's utterly insane, folks, but this is what Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, and Tony Miano, that's what they're doing. They're selling foolishness. It's just foolishness. I mean, it's just, folks, 60 seconds or less. Breath strong. It's not even worth saying anymore. That's how ridiculous way of the master is. That's how brainwashed these guys are. I mean, I'm sure they're cool guys. Yeah, I would have a cocktail. Me, Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, Todd Friel, Tony Miano. We can go to go to a club, have some shots. Just talk about these things, and I will talk to them about these things because it's clear they're brainwashed. They're literally brainwashed. No matter how you look at it, the Bible is a book of fairy tales, and even if you want to believe the Bible, even if you say it's fairy tales, but I still want to believe the fairy tales, that's fine. But even then, it still wouldn't apply. Even if you believe the fairy tales, knowing it's fairy tales, because this is another country's laws from thousands of years ago. So it's the way of the master. They're just, and they got their side, college people doing this type of stuff. College people are like, oh, have you ever lied before? Or does that make you a liar? If you stole something, you're a thief, even from a cookie jar. I mean, that's ridiculous. Telling people if you stole even a cookie from a cookie jar when you were 3 years old, that makes you a thief. And if you lied, even if you lied to your teacher when you're a little kid, said the dog ate my homework, you're a liar. And if you look at a hot chick, if you're a guy, then that makes you an adulterer. And if you get pissed at somebody, that makes you murder. That's totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. It's just all ridiculous. Folks, we listen to this podcast and you just see how ridiculous all this is. The way of the master, what they're selling, what they're doing is totally ridiculous. Cool guys, but totally ridiculous. Maybe one day I'm going to go to California and do some shots with these guys, loosen them up and try to talk to them some rational sense into these guys. Anyway, once again, I'm signing off because what they're doing is just totally ridiculous. Listen to this podcast. Again, take some notes and email and let them know, like, hey, man, Way of the Master, you guys, what you're doing was whacked out. Brett Strong signing off. Till next time.